The Republicans have been going after President Obama on this contraception issue. Now, he says that women should not have to pay extra no matter where they work, unless it's a religious organization like a church directly that he wants to exempt because of their beliefs. But if it's a Catholic hospital or a school, so many non-Catholics work there, as an example, that he thinks those groups should not be exempt. That was his original position, and the Republicans went ballistic on this. Mitch McConnell, Senate Minority Leader, said this, quote, "Our founders believed so strongly that the government should neither establish a religion nor prevent its free exercise that they listed it as the very first item in the Bill of Rights. And Republicans are trying today to reaffirm that basic right. But Democrats won't allow it. They won't allow those of us who were sworn to uphold the U.S. Constitution to even offer an amendment that says we believe in our First Amendment right to religious freedom. I never thought I'd see the day." Wow, he's so worked up over it. Nonsense. He says they won't even allow the amendment. That's because they try to put it in a transportation bill. What does the contraception issue have anything to do with a transportation bill? And all of a sudden, the Republicans discovered the Constitution. What happened when we were doing warrantless wiretapping and taking away people's due process, et cetera? Then you didn't know about the Constitution. Now all of a sudden, like, oh my God, now that we could paint President Obama as anti-religious, we have found the Constitution. Get out of here. And of course, the guy who wants to take advantage of this the most is Rick Santorum. So let's watch him.
To a woman who, say, favors abortion rights, or a woman who says this is an access to health care issue, who disagrees with you on this issue, what would you say to her?
I would say that you have the right to go out and purchase that product. No one's telling you that product should be banned. But you shouldn't be able to tell a Catholic church that they have to pay for it. That's the issue here, is making someone pay for something, using money from the church, that's the church's money, and forcing them to do something that they think is a grievous moral wrong.
So he says, as long as the church doesn't pay for it, first of all, the church doesn't pay for it. The church itself is exempted, right? When they're hiring employees for their church, et cetera, they do not have to do this. Second of all, when it comes to hospitals, well, it's interesting. You think the Catholic Church then is so bothered by this government that maybe they shouldn't take all the welfare money that comes in? Oh, they like government then. So when they're taking the government money, then they got no problems. How about Catholic Charities? Well, how about Catholic Charities USA? Oh, look at that. They take 67% of their revenue. 2/3 of their revenue comes from the federal government. Well, then if you're so offended, well, why don't you give that money back? Oh, no, you don't want that. Oh, you want to be involved with the government, and you want to take all the government money, but when it comes to covering women equally, God, I have a conscience problem on the fact that I don't want to cover women equally. You know, and I don't want to cover their contraception, even though 99% of women who are sexually active use contraception. But no, I'm still going to fight that battle. Now, and what can women do in that position? Well, Rick Santorum has an answer for that, too. Let's watch.
We're talking about forcing a church of which they happen to choose to work for, and they know their positions in working for them. You're now forcing them as a condition of employing people to pay for something that is, again, a grievous moral wrong.
Did you understand what he's saying there? He's like, well, look, nobody forced you to work there, so go get another job. I know, because the economy is so great, and we're all millionaires like you, Rick, and all the other Republicans that are running for president. We all have so much money that like, oh, okay, well, I choose not to work for Georgetown at this job. Whether I'm a professor or I'm a nurse at a Catholic hospital, I will choose to go get another job. It doesn't work that way. That's why we're trying to protect women in all workplaces. Okay, so, but it's clear. He said, look, as long as the churches are exempt from this, then it's all going to be okay. So what did President Obama do today? Well, he offered an accommodation, as he always does. Now, normally I hate his accommodations because all he does is encourage the Republicans to attack. They're never appeased, and in this case, they're not appeased anyway. But he came out with a compromise where he said, look, the women will not have to pay extra if they work at these places like Catholic hospitals, et cetera, right? In his new compromise. So they should be satisfied with that. The religious groups will not have to pay for the contraception or provide it, so that's it, they're exempt. The hospitals, the schools, et cetera. So somebody's got to pay for it. Well, it's the insurance companies that are going to step up and pay for that extra contraception. Now, why do they do it? Because it actually saves them money. It's under preventative care, and the reality is they'd much rather pay for the contraception than pay for the baby. So when asked that question, the insurance companies are like, yeah, don't worry, we got this covered. So it's actually a compromise in this case that I have to confess I totally agree with. Now, I don't love President Obama's compromises. Usually they lean to the right, but this one is right down the center. It makes a ton of sense, and here he is explaining it.
If a woman's employer is a charity or a hospital that has a religious objection to providing contraceptive services as part of their health plan, the insurance company, not the hospital, not the charity, will be required to reach out and offer the woman contraceptive care free of charge, without copays and without hassles. The result will be that religious organizations won't have to pay for these services, and no religious institution will have to provide these services directly.
That explains it fairly well, and I'm on board for it. Look, you got to keep an open mind, and I know that he's capitulated 19 out of 20 times, and those capitulations have been horribly right-wing, as when we gave the Bush tax cuts to the rich, again, one of many examples. But in this case, it was a compromise that makes sense. Now, so if women's rights groups complain, look, in the end, the women get the contraception just as they would before at no extra cost. So I don't see that complaint. And when, religious organizations and right-wing attack, well, then I think this is one of those cases where President Obama's grand plan actually does make sense, where he says, look, I've given everything, I've got a perfectly good compromise here, and they're still complaining, which, by the way, you're going to be shocked to find out that they still are. Wow, I didn't see that coming. Of course! Republicans say it's not enough. They say that now that you've exempted religious organizations, Rick Santorum, you just heard him, said that that was his real motivation, right? Now they're asking to exempt private employers as well. Why? Well, for two reasons. Number one, they say, well, look, if I'm a person who wants to discriminate against women, and that's just my personal belief, you should let me do that too. And number two, they're like, well, it's President Obama, so he'll continue to give and give and give, so let's just ask for more. And let's continue to beat him up, no matter what the facts are. But you know what? I think in this case, they're going to miscalculate. The president seems very reasonable there. When the Republicans, if they continue to be on the warpath on this issue, they've already criticized, but if they continue to pound away at this issue, they're going to look so incredibly unreasonable and anti-women, because we've gone out of our way to accommodate religious organizations. If you go any further, it's obvious that you just don't want the women to get that contraception.